the first thing that we wanted to ask you was, I guess we just wanted to know a little bit about your history and your background and what led you to start the New Colors Project.
Definitely. Thank you for the question. When I think about the reason why I started New Colors Project, it really does just remind me of our journey, of the process and the struggles, the challenges we faced. I created New Colors Project to help individuals, to help different communities, different populations, and based off our mission, to find the need in the community and act as a resource, I want to limit us in the sense of only focusing on one thing. I wanted us to branch out, to experience, to explore, do other things, and in that sense, do things intentionally. So, not creating or developing or innovating, ideas to solve social issues, but supporting other groups that are currently doing those efforts. I felt like, that doesn't really clash well if we started just different efforts towards the same cause. I rather support one organization who's doing really really strong work in the community, and strengthen that effort and really continue just to impact folks in that way. So at first it was just to teach individuals how to speak English. That was just my first task. I grew up in a mixed status household where, unfortunately, not my parents weren't able to um, be U.S. citizens. Thankfully, now times have changed and things are more easier for us to access. But back then, we were just struggling with how do we teach our adults, how do we teach folks who were given the chance of really, education here in the U.S. to speak English, to help their children, whether they be in second grade or high school, be able to communicate with them, being able to um, help them with their homework. So we did free tutoring. We didn't charge anybody. Our tutors were students in high school, were students in college, just wanting to support and give back virtually because of the pandemic. So that was a big, factor of why we decided to do things virtually and, in the sense, just get to where we went to with that program, and it started expanding to different programs where we were tutoring K to 12 students, doing community cleanups, pop-up rock painting stations for mental wellness, and different little start and end projects.
That's awesome. So, if you don't mind me asking, were your parents English speakers, or how did you learn how to speak English? Was that something that you struggled with growing up?
Definitely. So my whole family we were actually, I think there's a term. It's called English as the second language, ESL. So we were all, well, English is our second language. Both my parents, their first language is Spanish. They raised me in speaking Spanish, so I constantly just spoke Spanish. It wasn't until I started, school, which whether it was kindergarten, first grade, whenever they started teaching you English, that I started to learn. I started to listen to other people and see how they're talking, see how they're pronunciating the words or whatever, and from there just learn myself and whatever I could, learn, teach to my parents. So it was just like a constant effort learning English growing up. Being in speech, I remember in elementary, I would be called out of class to do these therapy sessions, to just pronounce words and having a stutter. So I definitely just started stuttering a lot. I sometimes still do. However, I really just, I don't blame, but I give all my appreciation to drama and theater. Because of that, in middle school, I was able to join drama club and start, being an actor. I started landing the main roles like Scrooge in The Christmas Carol and different things like that. So I was able to really use that practice as an exercise to my language, to the way I articulate and speak. So I definitely just try to learn as much as possible. And in the same sense, how can I help someone and grow with them, grow alongside them?
As you know, we both are theater people, but I kind of had a similar situation when, I mean, English was my first language, but when we were in elementary school, I had a really bad lisp, and it was kind of like when I got into theater that I learned how to
Uh,
speak like normally, I guess. So that was because I
the
went to,
magic.
yeah, really the magic of theater. So, because you kind of struggled to learn English when you were younger, was when you started the New Colors Project, was that kind of the main goal, or did you always think that you were going to expand to all of these other issues?
I definitely knew that this project had a lot of potential. Designing, just designing New Colors Project in the beginning, as I mentioned, it was like it is a story, a journey where it was a new opportunity for a lot of people. It was a new opportunity for me. It brought a lot of opportunities in general. I wanted it to signify a change within our lives where because of the pandemic, a lot of us started to shift perspective, started to shift, motivation, what I do for work, what I do in life in general. So I wanted New Colors to represent that change that we were all experiencing some way, somehow, from another. So, New Colors Project, the colors, you just start thinking of different colors, you start thinking of, just a spectrum of things. So anything could fit in there. So, new hope, it brought new hope to people. It was able to just bring new perspective that folks didn't have, new resilience to, fight against things that were happening, that were impacting families. And that's always the goal. It's to make social change and not just be a bandage and, to cover the situation, but really address it to the root. And how can we, as young people, be part of that change that is occurring?
For sure. And when you talk about it bringing new hope to people, do you feel like it brought hope to you? Because I know that the pandemic was a really hard time for all of us. And when Ashley and I started our nonprofit, we didn't expect the effect that it had on us and how, like, we run theater programs for kids and just like seeing kind of like how you said, how it brings out so much confidence in kids and a part of them that they didn't know that existed is so inspiring. So do you feel like you had new hope from the New Colors Project?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. I think it definitely impacted my life. It impacted the way I see things. It really helped me just develop my human skills, my people skills, how to just have empathy, how to be able to communicate, and follow people, be a servant, a public servant to the community. Not having any experience of nonprofits before I started New Colors Project, all I was really introduced was just advocacy and how, unfortunately in our world today, a lot of people don't have a voice to speak on issues that really impact them. So, me being someone of where I stand, where I go to school, and having the privilege, I'm able to be the voice of someone who do not yet has one. And that to me was more than enough, starting New Colors and recognizing my truth, my experiences started to shape that truth. And it colored my truth. I'm constantly learning about myself, about other people, about the organization, as if it was actually a baby growing. It's definitely a beautiful experience that I'm constantly experiencing, and for that, I couldn't be any more thankful for.
I love that metaphor of it being like a baby growing because I think that's kind of the same experience we're having with our nonprofit. It's just so crazy when you see something like start from the beginning. And I mean, obviously, none of us actually have kids, so it's like such a weird thing to experience. And going along with that, I'm curious how, because you were a freshman in college when you started this, right? How did you, I guess, know how to start a nonprofit and how did it evolve from teaching English to becoming a nonprofit and all these like events that you do?
Wow, yeah. Thinking about that, it just surprises me. Even at where I am today, being 17, honestly, not understanding what a 501(c)(3) is, not knowing what it was until you thought of something, right? Until you thought of that idea. For me, that's when I was like, okay, how can I make it a reality? At first, I just did the project. I created a social media account, called it New Colors Project, and just started doing the work. I wasn't really worried too much about making sure we had insurance, making sure we had our accounts and everything, everything you need to be compliant with the IRS and different agencies. So that was in the back of my mind. I just wanted to be there for others, and eventually that really did caught up when a lot of eyes were on us. People were really looking into it and just seeing, well, this is a great thing, but we need to make sure that Raymiro is protected. we need to make sure that Raymiro understands this, Raymiro does this and that. So that really brought, the support that I felt from community, the people that really wanted us to succeed, young folks wanting young folks to succeed was really just the testament that people really do care, and that people in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, where I'm from, want young people to succeed. I had a group of friends, which I call our initial original board of directors. We met together every Saturday. We talked about the application. We talked about our next steps. We created a mission statement together. We created the bylaws together. Having different voices, different thoughts in the conversation, creating New Colors was definitely, again, the best support that I could have had as a leader for this nonprofit. And I constantly still growing, still learning. But other than that, it was possible because of the environment that I was in. Being the pandemic, we were all virtual. So I knew I had time. I knew I wasn't going to be going out to different clubs, extracurriculars, looking for things that I couldn't be doing in my laptop wherever I was here in Palmdale. So I started to stack my classes every morning from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So that I had time after 12 to go out in the community and do different projects like community cleanups, the pop-ups, volunteering for other nonprofits. So because of that, I knew that my privilege of going to USC, what could I do now? What can I do now with this opportunity on my hand to help others? And that was literally just learning a lot from professors, having conversations, meeting via Zoom, so that then I could take what I was learning and implementing them in the nonprofit.
I think that's so inspiring that you just revolved your whole life around helping other people and knowing how difficult it is to get into the classes that you need to get into at USC, like being able to stack your classes like that. I'm sure that was difficult. And I was just wondering, what do you feel like keeps you inspired, and what would you say to other people who wish they had the drive that you had? How can they make a difference the way that you are?
First and foremost, we all have our unique talents, unique gifts. And the way I give back may not be similar to the way you give back or others give back. And, I just want to say that that is okay. The way you give back to your community, the way you want to serve others does not necessarily have to look like or be exactly what others do. It's just how you do it, right? It's just how you do it with the heart, with love, with the understanding that, this is truly helping someone, whether it's, one small thing in your life or a big thing. And that you as this person in reality can't really change the world. I know we're raised saying, being told that we could change the world someday. I honestly stopped thinking of that. I personally accepted that I may not be able to change the entire world, but what I do know is that I could change someone's world. And that, to me speaks volumes, because that's true. We each have our own world. We're each living in our own world. And if I could help your world in any way, that's, please sign me up. And that, for others to keep trying, to not give up when it comes to wanting to do something, wanting to achieve, one's goals. So if you ever do feel like giving up, one thing I do is just think about why I started in the first place. What inspired me and ignited that flame in me in the beginning, and how can I just use that to stay grounded and fuel me when I'm trying to accomplish something, or get something done successfully. So it's just a lot of faith, faith in yourself, but definitely faith in others, and trusting the process, trusting your experiences, and that they're definitely meant to be. Although you might be like, why did I experience this, or why did this happen to me? My friend, you have a story to tell. That's the tea. That's what's going on right there. You have a beautiful story to share, whether it's bad, positive, and use all those disadvantages that you have in your life and turn them into an advantage.
I think that's such incredible advice, that when you said even though you might not be able to change the whole world, you can change one person's world. And I think that's really important for everyone to keep in mind, because I feel like there's so many issues that people care about, and sometimes it can feel super overwhelming because you just want to help everybody. But I think that sometimes when you think about, I want to change all these things, then you end up not doing anything because you don't know how. But I think we underestimate how much of a difference even a little thing can make. And then I think also just taking the hardships in your life and turning that into the ability to do good for others. I feel like that's so inspiring, and I think that that's hard for a lot of people to keep in mind, but I think it's really amazing that that's the perspective that you've taken. Yeah, that's definitely something that we've been talking about lately, because both of us, I feel like, have gone through a lot. Like, obviously, all of us with COVID, it was really hard, and then we've both been facing health challenges recently, and it's really easy to have the mindset of, why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. What did I do? And like, I think I definitely over the last year have had a lot of instances where I just felt really resentful and was like, I don't deserve this. But I think having the mindset of, this is happening to me for a reason, and what is that reason, rather than poor me, why is this happening, is so important, and definitely inspiring to hear from you.
Thank you. And same thing, life is not easy, especially being young, starting college. It's a new experience for all of us, and it's really nice to have platforms like these where we are able to share with others who might be feeling the same way, so that they could, see that there's others like them, and that others are feeling the same way, and that people aren't alone, and that there's a whole village behind us, right? We are constantly wanting to push each other forward, and that's the beauty of life and the beauty of growing in the world that we are today.
Well, we're almost out of time, but we have two questions that we ask all of our guests. Ask the first one. Sure. The first one and the most important question we're going to ask today is, if you could have an identical twin, do you think that you would want one?
Yes. Oh my God. I would love an identical twin for so many reasons, right? Someone who just thinks like me, sure, we might clash, but to have a twin, to have someone you share things with, well, technically, I kind of do have a twin, I would say. My sister, she was born a day and a year older than me. Being 2 days apart, sort of just, we've been raised as twins, basically, same birthdays, same everything. We literally grew up just 1 year apart. Doesn't make a difference. So I would say I think I have a twin, someone that I really enjoy being with. Yeah, we don't have the same perspective on things, mindset, of course, but I feel like that really just brings the best out of each other and brings out the good. Yeah, I mean, I think I have my twin actually. This podcast really let me reflect on that, and now I appreciate my sister even more.
That's awesome. Yeah, life is always better with a twin or a really close sibling by your side, and if at least you're a year apart, so you don't have to like be in all the same classes and never be able to get away from each other. But I think the world, I mean, you're doing amazing things, and just imagine if there was more than one Raymiro in the world. That would be amazing. And our last question is, do you have a favorite inspirational quote that you would like to share?
I think, I want to say it's a quote, more like a mantra, a slogan. It says, "With faith comes hope." That, four-word little phrase really spoke a lot to me growing up, especially in middle school when I would, in PE, for example, we would do mile runs, and I was simply just scared. I had asthma, and I knew that if I just didn't push through, I would fail the class or just not feel good about my overall experience. However, I would always say it. I would say it 3 times, 10 times throughout me running. With faith comes hope. With faith comes hope. And to be able to just hone in on that, really just hold on to it, and run a mile in 6 minutes. I was like, whoa, So that was just really cool, and I started using it on many things. With faith comes hope. If I believe it, I can achieve it.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I could have used that when I was in elementary school. I had one too, and we would always have to like pacer test where you had to run back and forth. I just never thought I would live through it, so I wish that someone would have told me that quote when I was little.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're hearing it now.
Well, thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm so glad we got to talk to you. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for all of the amazing work that you're doing in the community. Yeah.
Of course, and thank you. Thank you for all the work as well. It just does not go unnoticed, and it's truly helping someone.